y'all. Bridget Chandler here from Athens State University, and I wanted to take a few minutes to talk to you about Module 1 for CE 620, Teaching and Training. And just before we get started talking about Module 1, let me tell you just a little bit about my experience, since this is primarily dealing with online learning and online teaching, a little bit about my experience with online teaching and learning. Okay, so I started teaching here at Athens State in 2005. And I had never taught online before, and matter of fact, I had never taken an online class. As I finished my graduate studies, I had some distance learning, but my distance learning really and truly looked like this. Once I took a course that I was shipped a box full of VHS tapes where the lectures had been videoed, and then those VHS tapes were sent to me, and I was supposed to watch the lecture and then complete the assignments based on what I saw on the VHS tapes. And then I had to package them all back and ship them back at the conclusion of the class. I didn't do real well in that class. It was a nutrition course, and a graduate level nutrition course, and so for me that didn't work great for distance learning, not in that format. So anyway, so I did not have experience. I do not have experience as an online learner, but now I've been teaching online for a very long time, and the amount of actual training I had for online teaching is not a whole lot. Like, now I've been to different conferences and done a lot of research and read a lot and practiced a lot, but I never had any formal training before I started. So if you're not teaching online, or if you don't do any type of online training, it's okay, because you're going to live and learn. And then if you have a lot of training, great, then you can share with us what you may have learned through other experiences or an outside source. Because for me, even just teaching this class right now, I'm learning things that I didn't know before, or I've never thought of before. We started using the Quality Matters rubric for self-evaluation of our courses back a couple of years ago, and that helped me to kind of come up with and look at how I formatted online classes. So, there's different resources out there. But anyway, let's go on to Module 1. So Module 1 in our class, and also from the text that we're using, and this is also the first time in a really long time that I have taught using a set textbook, which I forget that it's nice to have that, but then, I tend to want to kind of bring in other things, which that's fine, and hopefully you do that when you're teaching as well. But anyway, so Module 1 is the first 3 chapters from our book, so you'll have a chance to read those first 3 chapters hopefully pretty soon, and they will help you with the activities and the discussion board posts that are required for you in Module 1. So Module 1, though, is really just profiling of a typical online learner, and we have to think about when this book was even written and how that may look a little different now, because this book is not brand new. It's actually the textbook we're using is a little bit older, and so I'm gonna just go out on a limb and say that probably some of the information about online learners being older that's in this particular text may not hold as true today. I just got off the phone with my son, who's a freshman this year in college, and he started classes yesterday, and he's trying to change his schedule, of course, and he asked me about maybe he should take his math class online. He took all of his core academic classes his last 2 years of high school online, so just throwing him into the mix of averages of ages is going to automatically bring that down. I mean, and others like him. So I'm just going to say that probably that we're not dealing just with older adult learners online now, but probably a little bit more of a streamline. So not that they're still not traditional learners necessarily, but maybe online learning is becoming more of a traditional format, and so we might need to think of it a little bit more broadly and holistically, and not so much as an older learner. Okay, so but Module 1 is what it wants us to do, and again, we can use our own data and own statistics to kind of form our own conclusions here about who our online learners are. But is just who the learner population is. It's always important, no matter where you're teaching or what you're teaching, if you're teaching in a formal institution or informal, or if it's a day training, or if it's a full semester length course, to know who your learners are so that you can be better prepared to reach them. I've said this over and over with this graduate program, which I'm very humbled and honored to have you guys in the program with us, but it continues to evolve and shape and look differently than when the conceptual idea of the graduate program, as I get to know you all as participants in the program, and our other professors get to know you all, and so it just kind of shapes what's going on, and that's what happens when you're identifying your learners. It's going to shape and change how you deliver, what you talk about, and references made, and just so much about teaching and learning. Okay, so you're going to identify, kind of create a profile for your learners, who they are, who the learner population is, how they prefer to learn, why they choose whatever environment. Like, why would a learner choose an online environment versus a face-to-face environment? And we might have assumptions about that, but hopefully the text is going to help us to draw concrete examples and make our assumptions relative to data that exists. And then also what issues that our learners may face with persistence. Like, why do they not complete programs? Why do they withdraw from classes? Why do they participate and then forget to withdraw? And so they've participated and they end up failing the class because they don't complete the paperwork to withdraw. So anyway, just some things like that to think about. There are 3 distinct goals from this first module, and the first is to help you all and me to understand the online population, and this is where I have a little bit of like, maybe not, that there are older adults, our online learning population, maybe not, but they are adults, in what we're dealing with. But I just told you that my son took his last 2 years of high school, his academics, as online courses. So they may be older adolescents, they may be young adults, they may be older adults. I have heard of some school systems offering elementary classes even online, and so, just depends on where you're working. So you think about who you're actually teaching to and who your learners are. So anyway, but when we're talking about adult learners, be it they're one day out of high school, they kind of automatically leave from that adolescent learner to the adult learner theory. But again, you may have to do some merging of those techniques when you're talking about your particular learners. But adult learners do have different responsibilities, be it as an online learner or a face-to-face learner, or someone who's in a certificate or training program. As an adult, they're going to have different responsibilities than an adolescent learner, most likely. And even from a more traditional campus type situation, possibly. So you would think about their outside responsibilities. Many adult learners, such as you all, are professionals. So you guys are professionals, you're out working and doing different things. So the level of respect that I have for you guys is probably not that I wouldn't respect a different learner, but I know that you are established in your careers and that you are moving forward, and so your idea of why you're here is completely different from someone who might be just experimenting with an early entrance college course. So the first goal is for us to understand that about adult learners. The second goal is to help you all to understand that adult learners' requirements for learning are different. So this gets a lot more into the andragogy, which is just the study of adult learners and how they learn. On the one hand, they have a great need to know and have a stronger self-concept and can draw on personal experience more readily and have I'm reading from you right from the book, have a certain readiness to learn, have a stronger orientation to learning, and stronger motivation. However, on the other hand, adult learners can be differentiated by their degree of self-directedness. Goes back to me talking about my video lessons. And the academic skill of the particular learner. Finally, adult learners prefer certain types of social styles, including independent, dependent, competitive, collaborative, avoidance, perceptive, and all these different social settings and social styles will be discussed in the book. But just remember that the motivation to learn is going to be different depending on the learners. it may not be a required course that you're teaching. It may be something that's an elective. When I taught high school, I taught elective courses, so I knew and I learned real quickly the value of promoting your courses. You know, that you've got to recruit and promote. So for me, recruiting for here comes naturally, even though if you're coming into the program, many of the courses are required, but just recruiting in general. So again, it depends on your perspective and what the requirement of the course. All right, goal 3. The final goal of this module is to help you guys to understand why adult learners choose the online environment, or which environment they choose and why. What influences that environment? So factors that influence persistence are also covered. And we want to better understand the learner characteristics, the academic skills, external factors that are influenced and that shape that learner. All right, so understanding the characteristics, that is of utmost importance of your learners, be it online or face-to-face. But understand that just because you understand the characteristics and the needs of your learners, that does not guarantee any type of success. Now, you know, it should help us to teach to our learner and to reach our learners when we understand who they are and their circumstances. But just because we understand doesn't mean that the learner is going to be any more successful than if we did not understand. It should be a positive influence. So if we understand what motivates them to learn, any barriers that our learners may have, especially pertaining to an online environment, then hopefully we can make adjustments. Alright, so some things that you're going to do during Module 1. I'm going to click on my screen, and I'm going to look over here and let you see. When you go into Module 1, you'll see that there's required readings listed for you. Move you around just a little bit here. So your required readings are listed, and that's just chapters 1 through 3. And then you're going to see some supplemental materials. I posted for you just a funny video from YouTube, supposed to make you smile. And then another supplemental YouTube TED Talk video that this lady is really kind of debunking the whole idea that there are particular learning styles. So it's interesting. Maybe it'll make you think. Other supplemental materials for you. The chapter presentations are there, and these are both a PowerPoint presentation, and it is discussed by the author. So there's a video, and there's the screen, and then there's audio recording for you there. And supplemental, you know, you don't necessarily have to be able to watch those, but you can. And then you have your assignments. So your first assignment is Activity 1.1 from the book. Your second assignment is Activity 1.2. And then you have discussion board participation and a reflective piece for this module. So if you would click on the discussion board participation link, it takes you to a screen where you're going to see discussion boards at the top, and then you'll see a video where I have my mouth open as the picture, whatever. You can watch that for me to talk about discussion boards and how that works for us. But anyway, there's overview and instructions on how to post, and then there, like how to do a reply post. There's our netiquette policies, and then there are some examples of acceptable and unacceptable posts. So this is great for you to go back and refer before you start participating, because in this particular class, these discussion board posts count as many points as your assignments. So each discussion board post is 30 points, and your assignments are 30 points in this particular module. You have 5 items for a total of 150 points, and then a reflection for 20 points. So just understand that that there is a lot of expectation on your participation and on what you're posting in the discussion board, and particularly in this class. And so you can read the examples of what's acceptable and what's not, and there's a couple there. Then you will click on your discussion boards, and it will take you to the different discussion boards, and you will see discussion board 1, discussion board 2, and discussion board 3 that are all linked to this first module. And some of them you will have to complete your activities first before you do this discussion boards. Okay, so that is a wrap-up of Module 1. I hope that this video is helpful for you. If you have any questions or concerns about Module 1, please let me know. Have a great afternoon. Bye.